Hello and welcome to this episode of the Comeback Coach podcast, where today we answer the question, how to rebuild your life from scratch. My name is Mike Searles, the Comeback Coach, on a mission to help 100,000 motivated people get back on track after adversity, setback, or suffering. The simple definition of adversity is a setback or suffering, and there are different causes of adversity which can lead to a state of setback or suffering. Today's question is how to rebuild your life from scratch. Now, depending on the adversity, the question could also read how to rebuild my life from nothing, how to rebuild my life after divorce, how to rebuild my life following depression, how to rebuild my life from financial ruin, or how to rebuild my life after losing everything. We're answering the question without knowing your personal circumstances. Your state of adversity could be health-related, it could be financial, relationship, career, or a number of these things even combined. Understand this though, whatever your adversity, I've been there too. I know what it feels like to have a setback and be suffering. And I think we all do at some point in life. My story goes back to that day in 2009 when I was sitting in the addiction doctor's office, sick, sad and broke. After suffering untreated depression for most of my adult life and self-medicating with alcohol and drugs, the bottom finally dropped out of my life completely in 2009 when I was 51 years old, and I'd lost everything. But after the way the doctor put it to me on that day about changing my life, I began a program of getting my life back on track, and I made a comeback. I rebuilt my life to where I am today, happy, healthy and prosperous, and now helping others to get back on track too. So let's come to that question then. How do you rebuild your life from scratch? Well, I'm going to focus on that word rebuild. Just imagine with me a tornado or a cyclone or a typhoon rips through your neighborhood, and it tears up whatever is in its path, and it leaves behind a pile of twisted rubble. What used to look like a street full of clean, sturdy, upright houses, fences and gardens now looks like a pile of you-know-what. It's a real mess. Do you ever see on TV news broadcasts following such a destructive weather event how members of the local community, along with members of certain community organisations, will come into the area and begin a clean-up? Now, people are physically hurt or worse, and that is the reality of the brute force of some weather events. But once the immediate first responders have assisted with the sick and the wounded, then comes the clean-up. And there's always a clean-up needed before any rebuild, a sorting through the rubble, what can be salvaged, what is damaged beyond repair. Junk is shifted to one side. Big earth-moving trucks will come in with their big metal buckets at the front and push the rubbish and the rubble aside into a neat pile, ready to be loaded into bigger trucks and taken away, never to be seen again. Stay with me now, please, as I continue this metaphor based on the word rebuild. The rebuild of homes, gardens, fences, etc. may include bits and pieces of what could be saved and salvaged from the ruins. Say, strong lengths of timber, iron gates, metal beams, anything from what once was which can be used to rebuild what is to come. And sometimes there's nothing worth salvaging from the ruins at all. Sometimes there's no rebuild at all. It's all a build from scratch with all brand new materials. And this brings us to the question of rebuilding a human life from scratch. My experience from both sides of the fence, so I'm speaking from the social worker and the coaching side as well as from the client side, is that there's almost always something to be salvaged from personal adversity, something that can be used in the rebuild. But you have to look for it, you have to identify it, and you have to acknowledge it every day while making your comeback. But Mike, you say, you don't understand. I literally lost everything. Well, I say, No, you have not. Are you still alive? Yes, then you haven't lost that. Do you still have a mental faculty which enables you to make choices? Yes, then you haven't lost that. And I would assert that as long as you are still breathing and have your mind intact, you have all that is needed to begin a personal rebuild. And yes, I say despite the situation, circumstances or events involved in your own state of adversity, what is going on between your two ears is what determines the beginning of your rebuild. So what am I really saying here? What I'm saying is that what is going through your mind, moment by moment, hour by hour, day by day, etc., will determine almost entirely the potential success or failure of getting your life back on track with a rebuild. And no, your rebuilt life may look nothing like the life left behind because of the storm. Like it or not, that may be the reality you have to work with. So, my answer to the question, how to rebuild your life from scratch, is to first make a fixed and firm decision that you are going to rebuild your life, that you are not a quitter, that you are not beaten, that you will get up to fight another day. Now that's not a casual thought process you might have while staring out the window, for example. It's a commitment. It's a decision which you turn into your personal mission. That's right, your mission. You turn your adversity into eventual serenity by making it your mission to do so. It's a line you draw in the sand to separate what was from what is now and what will be from this day forward. You rebuild your life from scratch by affirming with unstoppable intent that it is your mission to rebuild your life starting this very moment. So, what comes next? Well, if you're interested to know what comes after making such a rock-solid decision, I've got a free PDF titled 5 Steps to Get Life Back on Track Really Fast. I recommend you take the next step and read that PDF. You can download it now from my site at mikesearles.com. That's mikesearles.com, mikesearles.com, or you can go to a short URL which is bit.ly Mike's PDF. That's bit.ly/Mike's PDF, MIKES PDF.